Pokemon TCG Live first released 1,016 days ago. In that time, we've had a couple of infinite money glitches, numerous auto-win glitches, and countless game-breaking glitches. Yet despite all of that, yesterday's update might be the worst one in the game's nearly 3-year history. Where do I even begin? As someone who's played Live since the beginning, sticking with it even when it would just stop working for weeks at a time, this is the bleakest things have felt. Because now they're actively targeting our ability to earn credits, ultimately harming the experience for new players, and making it so much more difficult to unlock cards and build decks in the process. It's like they want people to stop playing the game that makes them no money and move over to the game that earned $200 million in its first month. First though, I think we need to rewind the clock a month back to when my dog didn't know what happens when you try to bite a porcupine. In the November developer letter, they were thrilled to share some exciting updates with us. These included the removal of the premium battle pass, reducing the match timer by 5 minutes, rebalancing the ranked ladder again, and removing coins. Around that same time, the Charizard EX lead battle deck launched in the shop for just 600 crystals, half of what it should have cost, giving us the best way to credit farm in the history of Pokemon TCG Live. And there was also an influx of new players thanks to the incredible success of TCG Pocket, with people wanting to see what the main TCG had to offer. Things seemed bright for the future of the game. Of course, the Pokemon Company couldn't have that. Let's start with coins. After players told them about their uselessness nearly 1,000 days ago, they're finally gone. If you had some coins in your account prior to Tuesday's update, up to 5,000 was automatically converted to crystals at a 4-to-1 ratio, or enough to afford one lead battle deck. While the new developer letter frames this as a good thing, we know by now how the live dev likes to ruin a good thing. While every avatar item is free, they also confirm more avatar items are on the way, meaning we're stuck with the soulless monstrosities. Deck cosmetics now cost crystals. That wasn't supposed to be a big deal. Deck boxes, sleeves, and coins used to cost anywhere from 450 to 600 coins each. So long as they kept the pricing there, it was fine, albeit a little higher than it should be. Except they decided to make the cosmetics cost more than an actual deck. If random large numbers scare you, brace yourself. This is about to be worse than hitting 3 Irida off of a Pokestop. Every deck box now costs anywhere from 100 to 500 crystals, with every sleeve 250 to 1,250 crystals, and every coin 150 to 750 crystals. That is literally insane. Let's say you want the full set of Gengar cosmetics. It costs a whopping 2,500 crystals for all 3 pieces, or 2 copies of a lead battle deck. If you go back 2 days, that entire set was 1,500 coins. So it cost less of a useless currency we always had an abundance of to buy cosmetics. This change means it's now impossible for new players to afford cosmetics using crystals, because they have to spend every last crystal on lead battle decks to squeeze out whatever credits they can to try and craft new cards. It's disgraceful. Then there's this part in the in-game message about coin removal. Rewards that previously gave coins will now instead give crystals or other rewards. Turns out that was a lie. Previously, you'd get anywhere from 1 coin to something like 50 coins for simply participating in a battle. Now you get nothing. I thought they might replace coin rewards after battles with crystals, but instead they just removed a feature without replacing it. So in the last month, we've lost the premium battle pass, coins, currency rewards after battles, and a proper way to credit farm, which I'll touch on in a minute. To replace these lost features, we have an ELO ranking solely reserved for Arceus lead players. Tuesday was a very interesting day. It started out with the announcement of ELO coming to Pokemon TCG Live, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. Then Live came back online and we learned about all the negative changes they made to the economy. But let's focus on ELO, Govna. When the ranked ladder resets on Thursday, everyone will be bumped back down to Poke League. Then you have to climb all the way back up to Arceus League. Once you get there, you will only face other players in Arceus League. This is terrible news for the first person to reach Arceus League because it means they'll have no one to play against until other people reach the league. On the bright side, people in Ultra League and Master League won't have to worry about facing those tryhards in Arceus. Upon entering Arceus League, you'll now have a 1,500 ranking that goes up and down based on your wins and losses. If you're one of the 80 million people who bought Mario Kart 8, it's kind of like the online system there. Or you can think of it as a second ranked ladder solely reserved for Arceus League players. I'm sure Live will screw it up somehow, but in theory, you should only face players of a similar skill level. And if you do happen to face someone with a higher ELO, you'll receive more points than you would facing off against someone with a lower number. So if you make it to Arceus League by chance and actually aren't very good, you'll dip under 1500 like toes in a tub of lotion and battle those in a similar situation. If you're like me though, and actually insane at Pokemon cards and have never lost a game, you'll keep gaining points and only face those who are similarly cracked at the Pokemon TCG. Of course, the PTCGL dev couldn't implement this perfectly. Look at that second bullet point. Your ELO score will be visible to both you and your opponents, letting the Pokemon TCG Live community discover who's at the top. Instead of creating a ranked leaderboard that we could all look at, it's up to us to find out who the best player is by posting screenshots on Blue Sky, Tumblr, and MySpace. Then you have to get other people to whip it out and compare sizes to see who's bigger. Except Photoshop exists, so we'll never actually truly know who's number one. And until they fix the massive game-breaking bugs in Live, like not being able to select cards in deck and not being able to choose a target with boss's orders, then we can't accurately tell who's number one because you can easily lose games due to glitches. It's also unclear when the ranked ladder resets now. It should be every month, but in the announcement they use the term seasonal ladder. Does that mean it'll be every 3 months now, or will it reset with every set? I can already tell you we won't be getting an answer from them. It'll just be a case of checking in-game tomorrow when the ladder resets and finding out for ourselves. This really is the reality of Live, isn't it? Even when they make a positive change, they still manage to screw it up. And when they make a negative change, they set a new standard for hating their player base. If you thought things couldn't get worse, well, let's get to the worst part about the December update, shop limits. While they're excited about this change, which is designed to promote a healthy balance of resources in the game, it's such an anti-player move that it has a nephew. As the announcement mentions, some items in the shop will now have exchange limits restricting the number of purchases one can make within a certain period. Notice how they didn't tell us which items or how long that period is? Well, if you go into the shop, you'll be greeted with this abomination. Turns out every item in the shop outside of packs has an exchange limit of either 1 or 4. From what I could find, 90% of items have a limit of 4 with the rest at 1. But it gets so much worse. While the Charizard EX lead battle deck was 600 crystals for all of November, it's been increased to the expected 1,250 crystals without any sort of warning. I'm not sure this is the best time to say I told you so, so I'll just say that you should always trust your pilot. Because I said it might be a price error and that you should go crazy spending your crystals. If you think this change is weird and unique, it isn't. The dev has always had this weird obsession with punishing players who have larger collections. 3 years ago when Live launched, if you migrated with a big PTCGO account and owned some of the cards given in the free decks, you'd get bonus credits. A few months later, they removed that feature. Now, they're punishing players who want to easily build up credits to create decks and, play the game. It really does feel like they're prepping Live for microtransactions. Either that or they just hate us and want us to suffer. Ultimately, this change makes Live as unfriendly to new players as it's ever been. Even when things were at their worst, the one good thing we could always say about Live is how easy it was to craft cards and unlock decks. With this update, they've shown a complete disregard for players. And because of the price increase of the Charizard deck without warning, ironically, they've lost our trust when it comes to the economy. I will make a new video about credit farming soon, but who's to say they won't screw up the economy again next month? It's just so crazy, they literally broke the one thing about the game that didn't need fixing. Because giving us expanded or fixing years-long glitches isn't important, the dev decided to spend a lot of their time on the battle log. One nice addition is a damage breakdown, which gives you more details after launching an attack. It takes into account weakness, plus any potential reductions, reducing the number of new players who might be confused as to why something did less damage than it should have. But of course, they had to give us unnecessary visual effects as well. It is a new PTCGL update after all. Now when you click on the battle log, your cards will let out a little fart. But it's only the first time you click on the log. If you try to see it again, they'll blame it on the dog. You have to wait until some new things happen, then you can see it again. Plus, stadiums give a little purple swirl in the battle log now. You know what? Everything's forgiven. This really helps lessen the blow of losing credit farming. Though, if you're concerned about the farts, you can disable the battle log VFX in the options menu. Yes, we literally got the ability to mute battle log effects before we got the ability to mute emotes. Something we've been asking for daily for 3 years. I can't even. Oh, and I misinterpreted one of the patch notes. They fixed an issue where the Battle Pass animation would display each time the player returned to the Battle Pass screen. I thought this meant they fixed the issue on the home screen where the Battle Pass increasing animation plays after every battle, even after you've completed the Battle Pass. Nope, it only removed the animation inside the Battle Pass. And since it seems like we won't be getting another update until Prismatic Evolutions on January 16th, it looks like we're stuck with that for the next 6 weeks. One positive thing they did address was my biggest pet peeve about Live for the past 3 years. It used to be that my ranked number in the battle preview screen wouldn't fit into the little box. With the Arceus lead change, they shrunk the numbers like they've been in the pool too long, and now they fit perfectly. See, they do listen to us. It might take them 3 years to address basic problems, but they'll be damned if it gets to 4 years. And depending on your viewpoint, all avatar items going free is either a good thing or a bad thing. On the plus side, you don't have to spend 2 hours using up your coins to purchase every pair of sandals individually. On the negative side, it means avatars are staying in the game for the foreseeable future and will never be able to escape from their soulless eyes. Because I enjoy making myself sadder than a Sobble who wasn't picked by a trainer, let's go back even further in time to when I didn't know what a Skibidi toilet was. Way back in September 2023, the Pokemon Company International decided to sunset the Card Decks app so they could dedicate our full resources to the ongoing development of Pokemon TCG Live. In the 15 months since, all they've added is a battle log. The card decks included filters such as sorting by attack cost and retreat cost, but more than a year after shuttering it, those basic features that PTCGL had have not been added to Live. Let's fast forward a few months into the past and look at the developer letter from December 2023. They fulfilled their promise of delivering a battle log this year, but I want to focus on another part of the letter. Specifically where they say, in addition, the team has been working on new features coming to the game. I may not be the smartest person in the world, but aside from the battle log, I don't think we received any other new features this year. Unless they count the Arceus League ELO ranking as a new feature. But when I hear the word features, I think of feet. Also, I think of expanded or GLC or expanded friend battles so we can do GLC. I don't think making unnecessary changes to the ranked ladder for the 3rd time in 10 months. Speaking of the past, if you want an idea of the state of communication from the dev team, just check the known issues post on the forums. It hasn't been updated in 2 months and still mentions the premium pass, which doesn't even exist anymore. Something that isn't mentioned anywhere anymore is expanded. All the way back in September 2021, when Live was first announced, they said expanded would be added in a future game update. More than 3 years later, nothing. And when we asked, hey, where's expanded? Their response is, you don't want expanded, you want us to change the ranked ladder for literally the 3rd time this year. I don't know anymore, I'm just tired at this point. I've been making rant videos about this game for 3 years, and after 3 years it's only getting worse. This update to Pokemon TCG Live pulled the rug out from under us. They released the Charizard lead battle deck last month at 600 crystals, creating the most amazing way to credit farm. They never once mentioned it was a price error. Yet a month later, they doubled the price and set purchase limits because they can't have us enjoying the game. At least when Live used to get worse with every update, the frustration was laced with a bit of hilarity as we discovered new lows previously unfathomable to those of us who played a video game before. But this is just sad. The Pokemon Company is punishing us for decisions they made. It's almost like they don't want us to play Pokemon TCG Live anymore. Considering that Pocket has already made $200 million, maybe this is all a brilliant marketing ploy to send us over there. And guess what? It's working.